am Akila Jaramugi. I am here at Fonsaman, the Fonsaman Community Reforestation Project, where I am the Managing Director and founder of this project. Urban space, but a really, really cool forested area. A perfect place for Merikin to be. Yeah, so I am here to tell you a little bit about the Merikins, the story of the Merikins. The African Americans who fought in the War of 1812 on the side of the British and settled in South Trinidad in 1816. The journey of the Merikin was not an easy one. Before we were called Merikins, we were Africans from West Africa, and we were settled in North America on plantations. We struggled, and then eventually we ran away from plantations. Plantations in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, New Orleans, and we freed ourselves. During the War of 1812, the African Americans who ran away from the plantations were offered their freedom by fighting on the side of the British. It was not an easy journey, but for us it was really, really rewarding. I'm sure my foreparents were not too concerned about whether the British won or the US won. They wanted their freedom. It was all about freedom. So they ran away from the plantations, they got on board, they got the red coats on, and they fought on the side of the British. Following the war in 1814, during 1814 and 1816, my people were sent to Bermuda, and then to Canada, and then to South Trinidad. The first batch of soldiers that came settled in First Company, known as Grant. And the conditions there were not really, what they had expected. And they called for a new Grant. Hence the reason why the place is now called New Grant. So that was the first batch of soldiers that came to the Merikin country. Then the second batch of soldiers came, and they settled around Matilda, Pitikafe area. And that was the second batch of soldiers. The third batch of soldiers settled in the Third Company area on the Indian Walk Road. And then the fourth batch of soldiers that came, they settled around Williamsville, known as hard bagging. And again, there's a history around that, hard bagging. It was really a hard bargain. The lands were not really what, we wanted. It was rigid. The area was hard. The soil condition was really poor. And they asked, they said, hey, this is a hard bargain. We want something better. However, they still remained in that area today. That's the fourth batch of soldiers. The fifth batch of soldiers settled around the Indian Walk Road going to Moruga. So that's the Fifth Company area there. And the Sixth Company is the last batch of soldiers that came. I want to believe that's the biggest batch of soldiers that came, the largest number of soldiers that came and settled in the Sixth Company that borders or connects with First Company, Second Company, Third Company, and Fifth Company. So the African Americans settled in the company villages and called themselves Merikins. Following that, we had to find ways to survive. It was not like leaving America and coming here and meeting hotels and guest houses just waiting to accommodate us. It was open forest. And I say thanks to the first people. The first people were the ones who journeyed from Moruga and came to the First Company area there, that's Devil's Woodyard, and helped us clear forests. However, we continue to work. We continue to build our own houses. We continue to cut roads. We continue to plant foods and feed our families. And the journey continues. During the early, well, that was around 1816 when we came. Slavery was still going on in Trinidad. Slavery was still in the Caribbean. So for us, we were like isolated from, the population of people, the slaves, from the plantations. We were isolated. However, it was good for us because we see ourselves as free men and women, and we were entrepreneurs. We were, farmers and carpenters, and we were processing foods, drying our meat, processing our meat. We were hunters, and that part of history really, really helped us to contribute to Trinidad and Tobago. Our ancestors really, really did work hard, really evolve from one level to another and give back to Trinidad and Tobago. However, there are a lot of things that we endure and a lot of things we fought for. We wanted our schools, we wanted our churches, we created churches, and that was one of our skills. A lot of Americans are preachers and teachers and healers and leaders in Trinidad and Tobago today. And not just in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of them migrated. They went back to the UK and the US and Canada. But those who stayed on today, we have a long list of them, continue to contribute to the growth and development of Trinidad and Tobago. And most of all, continue to be icons and heroes of the Merikin community. We look first, I want to look at religion. We came with the Baptist religion, and part of the Baptist religion, there you would find the Orisha, the Yoruba practice. Even though it was hidden, it was still there. Like one of our great leaders and preachers, Papa Nisa, he was one. He was an Orisha man as well. He was one who was instrumental in developing the Third Company Baptist Church. But however, the Orisha community around Trinidad and Tobago and the region, and even as far as Africa, proudly boast about Papa Nisa being the one who would visit shrines all over Trinidad and Tobago. But prior to that, he was a great healer. He was one who would heal the sick in the community. They called him the Obia man. But for me, Obia was very, very good for him. It was good Obia. He was the one who would work with midwives and help, pregnant mothers and so on. He was the one who would heal you if you're not well, if you're mentally disturbed. He would heal you for free. Yeah? And then we go on to other preachers and teachers who developed the American community to what it is today. And that is what I say about a great people, a resilient people, the American people. As we journey on, I became involved with the American community in 2010. I myself, a descendant of the Americans, wanted to give back. I moved away from the community as a young lady, and now today doing my reforestation work, where I learned to care for the forest, where I learned to live in harmony with the forest from my American ancestors. I am now ready to give back to my American community. Hence the reason in 2010 we formed the American Heritage Foundation. Today, the American Heritage Foundation has taken the history of the American people far and wide. We have journeyed to the UK, the US, Carriacou, Suriname, Jamaica, sharing the information about the Americans. But most of all, we have been in schools and communities preaching and teaching the people, waking up the energies of our ancestors to, to help us pave a way for our people. Help us to let them recognize who they are and from whence they came. Help them to embrace some of the cultural attributes that are embedded within our community and within their souls. So what are the cultural attributes? Hey, we'll talk more about that as we go along. Yeah, so this is how we share our information at Fontaman. So some of the things that we learn in South is where, I bring here caring for your forest and protecting the forest and, so, yeah. So like this is sweet molly. You'll also find this in the babash, right? This is a perfect herb that we use for tea. Yeah, you could even bathe with it, but it's really, really nice. You make a nice cup of tea with this. And like for us, what we do, like we collect like the bay leaf. This I'm gonna put in one of my drinks. Like this one here, bay leaf. And again, this is very good for like headaches and when you're not feeling well, just drink some of your bay leaf bush. Yeah. First, I want to do a roll call. A roll call of some of the Americans who settled in South Trinidad. The ones who are there still and continue to work to promote the lifestyle, the culture of a people coming from West Africa, settling in the US, journeying to Canada and back to Trinidad. And here we have some of the families like the Andrews, the Cole, the Floyd, Huggins, McNish, Saunders, Thomas, Ayres, Cooper, Foreman, Huggins, Mitchell, Seaton, Webb, Bailey, Dixon, Fortune, Jackson, Morville, Shields, Weston, Blackwell, Dunmore, Gibson, Loney, Ransom, Smith, Wood, Braxton, Dunton, Hamilton, Lucas, Richardson, Taylor, Burton, Elliott, Hill, McLeod, Samberry, Teesdale, and more. So if you don't hear your name called, we have a longer list there, and you can always get closer to us, and you will know. But I'm calling on all the Americans around Trinidad and Tobago and around the world. This is the time. We have been here in Trinidad for over 201 years. And some of the young people still don't know their history. So I am pleading with you all. This is the time. All you decision makers, the leaders who are in politics and so on, come closer. Let us do something great. We are talking about diversifying our economy. We have a rich cultural heritage. We have a great package to share to the world. And as I go along, you will hear some of the art, some of the work that we have been doing, some of the cultural, artwork that we have in our American community. Take, for example, the stick fighting, the calendar. That was a skill that we came with to Trinidad and still continue to be a tourist attraction during the carnival season. But all year long, we can be training our young people to be stick fighters and drummers and dancers and storytellers. Our skills are being underused. But at the same time, we are doing the best we can based on the information and the resources that we have at our disposal. And as we go along, the preachers continue to keep the Merikin community together. They continue to keep the Baptist faith throughout the region, not just in Trinidad. And I was privileged to celebrate with them the 200th anniversary of the Baptist religion in Trinidad last year. Then I connect the dots and I say, if they are celebrating 200 years anniversary and we came 200 years ago, then that's my history. That's American history they're talking about. And yes, it is true. The American came with the Baptist religion. And the Baptist religion, through the Baptist religion, we have been able to keep the American community together, keep the people together. But however, they have been missing the cultural side of it. And it's dying. And I'm begging, let's go deep within ourselves. Let's look at what our poor parents used to do, how they survived. Yeah? How they survived. How they survived. And as I journey on how they survived, I look at food. That's the first thing, food security. The way they would plan their foods. They came with the bene and the corn and the rice. And today, the rice on the market is almost $50 a pound. You can still get American Hill rice, but the bene, we have to trace back to get our bene seeds and keep our seeds. And the corn, and then we look at the provision, the cassava and the dashin and the yam and the edos, and these are kind of foods we used to eat. So again, this is what we have to continue doing. Looking at agroforestry, looking at agrotourism, getting the tourists and others to come within our communities, come within the fields and see how we plant our own food and we feed ourselves, and not just ourselves, but Trinidad and Tobago. And we do have the potential to feed the world, not just Trinidad and Tobago, but the world. So again, Americans, we need soldiers, as they would say. The harvest field is ripened and the laborers are few. So we need one and one to come together. Let us continue to keep the tradition. Yeah? All about American people and what we have to offer. This one here is male vervine. And again, this is for the herb bottle mix. The male vervine is different from the female vervine, right? And the male vervine is more for like bladder infection, urinary infection, stoppage of water and stuff like that. But the female vervine is what we use like for nursing mothers. They can use the female vervine to let the breast milk flow and things like that, to stimulate the breast milk. Our American people continue to contribute to the growth and development of Trinidad and Tobago. And ways in which we continue to do that is through our agriculture practices. We haven't stopped farming in different ways, whether it's animal husbandry or whether it's out in the field. Still today, you can go to the Merikin community and see farmers, rice farmers, corn and bene and peas and provision you can still get within the Merikin community. They still rear their bisons and bull and have the bull carts and so on. And, you know, that's how we live. That's how we knew it. That's how we continue to do it. But for me, I want to see it done at a larger scale. I want to see the environmental conservation work or information be shared more within the schools, within the communities, you know, where people can understand truly how to love and appreciate their natural environment, how to work in harmony with their natural environment, how to embrace some of the treasures that we have within our natural environment. Take, for example, healing. The holistic way we see ourselves and the way we would do things. We would make our own medicine within the American community. If you're not feeling well, we will not run to the pharmacy the first thing. We will go in the bush. We will go and look for DTPE. We will go and look for our Zeba Peak and our Vervine, our Timari, our Wonder of the World, our, you know, we would go in the forest and find the things that would heal, or that we can heal ourselves with. And this tradition never left us. So again, what are we doing with all these skills? We are ready for tourism. We are ready to be part of this big diversification talk that the Trinidad government, you know, today, and not just the Trinidad government, the governments around the world are talking about tourism. We are ready to be part of that unique package, you know, taking it to the world, throughout the world, letting the world come to us. For example, heritage tourism, where people can touch and feel and hear the history of the journey from Africa to the US, to Canada, then back to Trinidad. That journey, the path that we took. And we know it was not an easy journey, but still, I can proudly sit here today and say, we have done it. And we continue to do it. And we have great Merikin leaders who continue to contribute. So they are ready to come on board as well. So I'm calling on all the stakeholders, partners to come and help us, really put this package together so we can showcase it to the world. Then you go into the schools and the archives, and this is where we want to hear the history. This is when we want to see the history. This is when we want to empower the young people to know who they are and from whence they came. It's not just Amatrini and that's it. You have something greater than that to offer to the world. Something greater than that to pass on to your children. It's passing on the rich legacy of our culture, of our people, of our history. And again, through the Ministry of Education, I hope one day they would see the value in taking our history and putting it in the history books, where the students can know themselves, where they can go out and further study. They can, the archaeologists and, and environmentalists and anthropologists, they go out there, come study themselves and go and teach the world and come back to with information after they finish their research and so on. We are ready. We are ready. I am saying my American people are ready. But with a little support from the state and partners and stakeholders and the business community, we can put a really excellent package together and showcase it to the world. We also have this great book here called The Merikins and many more. But this one here, and again I say thanks to all those who contributed to getting this together. And I have copies of this, I have boxes of this, and I'm just asking someone from the Ministry of Education or anyone who's willing to support, contact us and get it in the schools. Each Merikin family should have a book on the shelf in the library. So again, this great book that tells the story, the journey of the Merikins, we are ready to share. Not just that alone, we continue to work, we continue to host events, we continue to celebrate the elders, we continue to go to the elders for stories. There's something called Grandma University where we can sit with the grandmas and grandpas as well, and they can teach us. And this is what we want to see more happening around our people and around our country, where we can record our history, record our stories and pass it on, package it and pass it on to the next generation. So again, I am pleading to all Americans, if I can do it, you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it too. We have great Merikin leaders in our community, as I say over and over, and I know they can help contribute to documenting the history and passing it on to the next generation. What you're seeing here is all about surface water management. So we had heavy rainfall this weekend. So this is what happened after heavy rainfall. I think Friday we had heavy rain. Workers will pack it back, but this is a check dam, and then we have the contour drain where it slows down the water and then it reaches the check dam, and then again water percolates and then goes slowly to the river, leaving all the silt and debris and stuff right here. So that's a technique we use here at our conservation site. Today our Merikin community is ready. We are ready to package ourselves. We are ready to welcome the world, but in that readiness package, we still have so much more to do. We are looking at even a celebration time during the month of August, American Heritage Month, where we can showcase our music, our food, our art, our craft, where even our religion, but most of all, healing and wellness. So these packages are, we are working on developing, to share to the world through tourism, through education. But most of all, we are looking at sustainable livelihood practices, where our people can create businesses, showcase themselves as micro or large entrepreneurs, and sell the package to the world. But another thing we are looking at is our museum. We need more museums within the community. We want to see statues. We want to see monuments of our American leaders standing high within our community, And I think these are the things that will really help our package, help us to package the Americans, because it's on the package. The story's on the, we are not telling the story the way it's supposed to be told. And I am saying we have a rich package, we have a rich legacy, and the stories need to be told, right? Prior to that, we are looking at exporting, patenting the work. We are looking at branding products of the Merikin. For example, the rice. So many products we can get from the rice. The herbs. So many medicines can come out of from the herbs. The selection of herbs that we work with. Even the babash. Even though it's not legal now, we hope one day that we can get the babash legal and we can market it in different ways. So these are some of the things that we have been practicing and using in Trinidad and Tobago that we came with. Our rich heritage, our rich cultural legacy. And again, for me, I always say, we must not fail our ancestors. They are there just waiting to support us. They are there just waiting to strengthen us. They are waiting to help us build Trinidad and Tobago, continue to be a resilient people and build Trinidad and Tobago. But again, we need some support from the state and from the Americans all over the world. So this one is the female vervine. And again, this one is with the more flower, but you don't have the flower in it right now. But there's a difference from the male and the female. This one seems to have a cross, right? But the male is different from the female. But this is the female vervine that ladies will drink, nursing mothers will drink to help stimulate the breast milk. And here's a little nursery, part of our nursery, where we propagate our seedlings to plant out in the field. Totally organic. So some of the indigenous plants, you'll have the thyme, you'll have the gula jamun, then we have the juniper, there's a juniper seedling, then we have the hog plum, and as we go up there we have some herbs. Well, here we also have nutmeg. This is a nutmeg plant. We have some nutmeg on the other side of the nursery there. Right.
And with all of that Spanish time, that is a natural thing against
it takes the land very well, and it kind of keeps off the insects. It's a natural insecticide, but not as strong as the stinking Susie. Yeah, but yes, it acts as a good floor cover, and again it keeps away some of the pests, right? And we use it in seasoning and so on, but it helps the forest floor to keep cool. So that's why we encourage it to stay. And then you have the great wonder of the world, and with the wonder of the world, we do a lot of exercises with the wonder of the world. For example, we can give you a leaf. And this very leaf I give to you, you rest it down and you'll get a lot of plants coming out from this one leaf. When you put it in the middle of your book or you give someone it like you like, if it continues to grow, then the love will grow. But if it dies, then... So we have cocoa, and we have cedar, and we have pui, and this is sweet molly. And so then we have cambron, and then we have lily, we have chenet, and primrose, And there's some herbs there. Wonder the world and thyme, Jamaican thyme. And we have palm. That takes the forest well. We have nutmeg. All these are nutmeg plants. And again, more palm. During the July, August time, the children will come and we will have them, we'll move all the furniture and stuff and have them just do the yoga, do the stuff here. So like a class, we'll bring a class out. So, yeah. And there's another cool space, but the whole thing is about loving nature and appreciating your natural environment and noticing that, you know, the earth is here for us, and by every action we take contribute either negatively or positively to the earth. So again, it's all about human behavior, and if we continue to, you know, be an example, we all can make a difference. Don't sit and wallow in self-pity and say you don't have. You can do the right thing and share the story of goodness. Yeah, so, and you continue to do the right thing, you know, and it's so easy to do the right thing, right? It's so easy to find ways. For example, I am in the forest here. I use the seeds and beads to make jewelry. You go, they have taken the jewelry around the world, from North America to Europe to throughout the Caribbean and so on. And that is it. You know, I use the bamboo. The workers made bamboo masks using the bamboo. We sent it to Carifesta this year. I was out there at Carifesta at the fashion show. I contributed, my jewelry was on the runway, and also the bamboo masks from Fonsuman. So again, it's making use of things in your natural environment and learning how to appreciate nature and living in harmony with nature. As we continue our drive to mobilize our people and educate the children around the Merikin community and around Trinidad and Tobago, the Merikin Heritage Foundation, in collaboration with the National Archives and Bocas Lit Fest, we will be hosting our poetry competition too. The first competition was held in 2015, and this year we are even going bigger. We have targeted schools in the southeastern parts of Trinidad, in Princestown and the Cowan Hamilton and Muruga and St. Stephen's and Barrapore and Tableland and Williamsville. We have reached out to schools where the students can choose topics like Proud to be Merikin, Merikin Journey, Merikin Cultural Legacy, Merikin Music, Papanisa, and also history about Ma Matilda. So all you elders, get ready to teach your children, because they will be coming to you to interview you, to get the story together, to get the poetry together, to get spoken words together, so they can showcase and tell the history of the Merikins in their own way. So again, the Merikin Heritage Foundation continue to work, continue to educate our community, but most of all, continue to reach out to the children of the land. Thanks.